Good day, Hamiltonian. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to go to the Cat and Fiddle, 174 John Street South. Have a few drinks, listen to live music, or have a bite or two of fine pub cuisine. This recording will self-destruct in 5 seconds.
Shall we introduce our first?
Let's do it.
Please welcome Mr. Rob Palangio.
Rob Palangio, everybody. Put your hands together. Thank you so much for coming in, Ron. Rob.
First, I want to know why I'm here.
Why are you here? You've been drafted.
I've been drafted. It's kind of a nice surprise to get invited.
There you go. There you
There
are.
we go.
Did Kimberly connect with you?
Yeah.
Kimberly Robin, our general manager, CEO, CFO, and arm breaker.
Yeah.
Chief Bottle Watch.
Chief bottle washer.
Yeah. No, it's I wouldn't say I'm a famous guitar player, but I've been around for a while.
You've been around? You got a website?
Yeah, I got a website.
You got a website, man.
Yeah,
I've been on it.
I've been official.
I've been on your website.
Oh, really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, you're the one of the 4 people tracked on my site. Yeah, great. I'm a retired high school music teacher. So
You taught here in Hamilton?
I taught here in Hamilton for 29 years in the in 3 or 4 different schools in the Catholic system. So I mostly taught. Well, I guess I want me to tell you my history.
Do it. Start right from.
Well, I'm originally from North Bay, Ontario.
Yes.
I'm a northerner.
Just north of Powassan.
That's right.
Yeah, I got big friends in
my
Powassan.
my mother was born just right outside of Powassan.
Well, there you go. I love that little place. It's beautiful there.
Anyway, I played in rock bands and the high school music thing all through my high school career
In North Bay?
In North Bay, and right after high school, I played in bars all through North Bay. We had a rock band. And
So who was your first who lit the fuse to make you want to pick up a guitar?
I gotta say it's the Beatles.
The Beatles, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was a real Beatle fan.
Was it the Ed Sullivan Show moment, or you?
I'm old enough to remember that. I think
Really? Wow.
I think I was in kindergarten. I remember seeing the famous live Ed Sullivan because the whole family sat around the TV.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah. So, no, I guess it was my brother brought home the Abbey Road album as soon as it came out, and I was hooked.
Yeah, that older brother passing down music.
I just basically listened to all his records, and pretty soon they were my records. But then I started taking guitar lessons, and I just wanted to learn Revolution.
Oh yeah.
That's the song I wanted to learn.
What was your first guitar?
Actually, my dad ran a bus company. He ran a school bus company, and a kid left an old guitar on one of the buses, and he brought it home and gave it to my brother. My brother wasn't interested, so I picked it up and
A found guitar?
I found the guitar on the receipt in the bus, and that was my first guitar. And then
What kind of guitar was it? You remember?
It was a no-name.
Like a Sears.
Yeah. It
guitar,
was a cheapo guitar. Acoustic guitar, yeah.
Nice.
And but then I got a paper route.
Paper route?
I got a paper route so I could buy my first Sears guitar. So for $69.95 in the Sears catalog.
What was that, for electric or acoustic?
That was a Silvertone.
Ooh, nice.
So and I had a Silvertone amp, so I was.
People swear by that stuff.
Yeah,
still,
and you know what? I mean, I remember selling it to a friend for $20, and I looked online for the same guitar, $450. They went for that same guitar.
Yeah, that
cheapo guitar. So they were kind of like a collector's item, I guess. So anyway, I played in rock bands all through high school and after high school, and then the band broke up one cold January day.
What was the name of the band?
It was called Quinton.
Quinton?
Yeah, I don't know where. we just called it that. But the band broke up, and our bus broke down. Our van. Yeah, it was a band.
That
broke
sounds
up.
like a great
That
song.
would be a good tune.
Yeah.
So anyway, so we had to find our way back to North Bay from Temiskaming, Quebec, and so it was kind of down. And
That's a long walk.
yeah, well, the other guitar player's dad ended up picking us
Come
up.
get me, Dad.
Yeah, so I mean, we spent all our money on the hotel room after and beer and stuff, so we were broke. So I got home and got the newsletter from the local musicians union up there, and it said there was a music program starting in Hamilton at Mohawk College, and I applied and I got in.
It was just starting. That was the
It was the
initial,
second. It was the second year.
Wow.
It had just been started, and so this is 1978. So I came down and never left.
Never went back.
No, I mean I met so many great people and so many opportunities to play, and
Who was in the program when you came down? Who were your compadres? Anybody that made their way into the music scene, Hamilton music scene?
Well, there's going back now. Who's great drummer, and he's a music producer now. Michael Stanitz is a great drummer. I don't know if these names ring a bell, but Colleen Allen, who's now one of Toronto's or Canada's best tenor saxophone players.
Wow.
When she was there, she was actually a piano major, but classical piano major, and I guess she was really bored and decided I want to play saxophone, so she kind of switched to sax, and she's an amazing player. She plays with everybody.
Wow.
So there's a few people in my year. A lot of the graduates from Mohawk went on to university, like kind of got advanced standing at university, and a lot of them became music teachers like myself. But there's a lot of them still slogging away. There's my old roommate Bill Wright is still living in Hamilton, and he plays a lot. He's like a regular musician that plays at Canada's Wonderland, and he teaches and plays gigs and stuff. So, but anyway, I went to Mohawk, and after Mohawk, I went to McMaster and I got my degree.
And what was your instrument at
Well,
Mohawk?
it was guitar. Yeah, I majored in classical guitar in first and second year, and then I switched to jazz guitar, and then I went to Mac and continued on. I was able to bring keep studying under my original guitar teacher, a guy named Mark McCarran, who now lives and works in New York City. He's a world-class jazz guitarist, and he taught me all through McMaster and Mohawk, and still kind of keep in touch with him. He's a really good player.
Did you have to audition to get in those programs at the time?
Yeah, you had to audition. I remember my audition. I played "Here Comes the Sun" by the Beatles.
Oh yeah.
And I played a classical piece I kind of learned by, and I think the thing that got me in was I was able to sight read, which was I was lucky when I was taking guitar lessons in North Bay as a kid. My guitar teacher made me read music.
So sight reading, just to be clear, is
just
playing
reading notes.
as you read.
Yeah, and I think most guitar players learn by ear and they play in the rock band world, and you don't really need to read music. The music is orally kind of passed on. That's kind of the tradition. But I was kind of more coming up in a classical traditional way. My guitar teacher made me read and made me learn the theory stuff. So, and that's really what got me into Mohawk, is they wanted musicians to be able to read notes, and so I got in, I think, based on that, because they would get dozens and dozens of guitar players auditioning, but they'd only accept a few. So that's how I got in, and but still, when I got here, I realized how bad a leader I was because you're sitting beside a saxophone player who's like, playing crazy, like they reading notes on a guitar is hard.
Yeah.
Like it's one of those instruments. It's not designed to read notes. It's a pattern instrument. A piano, everything's laid out in front of you. It's like there's only one place to play a middle C on a piano. In most instruments, that's the case. But on a guitar, there's 5 different places to play the same note. So it becomes naturally a difficult instrument to read on. So but you can still do it. But that's one of the limitations. A lot of guitar players, like, there's no joke. How do you make a guitar player play softly? You put a piece of music in front of them. It's so anyway. So I made it through Mohawk, and after Mohawk, I just started getting a lot of gigs, playing in different. I'm kind of a journeyman guitar player.
Guitar slinger for hire.
Yeah, I don't really focus on one specific style. I love to play jazz. I love to play classical. I love to play rock and classic rock. I'll do it all if they pay me. So I ended up playing in
well, if you're hitting that getting paid today, it's not happening.
No, that's
You get lots of esteem.
Yeah. But when
Good karma and beer tickets with no money.
And you have your friends.
Yes.
Yeah. But I started playing a lot of different situations. I was playing in big bands. Like, even back then, there's a few big band leaders in Hamilton that were getting like high society gigs and things like that. Harry Waller, who was a famous band leader, like a well-known band leader in the area, he was the host band at was the place in Burlington on the Lake Shore, famous. The Branton. He was the host band leader, so I played in his band, not at the Branton, but I played with him for several years, and he had a small combo that he would bring out. And I wasn't playing in pubs too much, in bars, playing in the private world, the gigging, casual gigs, But some of them are really nice gigs. I got to play a lot of different places. I played with a lot of ethnic groups as well, because that required you to read. So a lot of these kind of bands were looking for guitar players that could read music. So
they could just plug in and you could go.
I would just show up to a gig and say, they give me the chart, and we'd go.
Wow.
And then I got a few theater gigs as well. I played for a few shows at Hamilton Place in the pit, when they were doing some of the HTI shows, and a couple of the Christmas, what we call them Christmas pantomimes. They used to do Christmas pantomimes in the early '80s. I played in the pit, in the orchestra pit on guitar with some of those groups. So some of those were kind of cool gigs, And then I got my job teaching high school. So while I was doing all this, I was going to university and trying to still play. I always played every weekend. I was always doing something.
You were teaching instrumental music in high school?
Then I got a job teaching high school music, and so I had to learn. At teachers' college, you learn all the different instruments and how to teach them. So I've got a working knowledge on most wind and brass instruments. So I did that for 29 years. And I also introduced guitar programs in a couple of different schools that didn't have them. So, and I taught adult guitar as well, like for adults at night school. So, I designed guitar programs for adults and kids. And we did keyboard. And I was also big in introducing MIDI and computers in the 80s.
Okay,
in
well,
the
that's
80s
starting
and
to come in.
90s. Yeah, so that was starting to come in. So I had to learn a lot
Play with those
about
toys.
all those toys.
Yeah.
So that was we entered music festivals and went on band trips. So I was able to. The nice thing about teaching music is, I always thought it was the best job in the world. I'm getting paid really nicely, regular job with a pension,
Yeah.
benefits, and I get to mess around with music all day. So it was
Absolutely.
always a really good job. Originally I thought I didn't go to university specifically to teach high school music. I just wanted to continue studying music in general, and I kind of like on a whim when everyone was applying for teachers college, I said, "Oh, I guess I should fill out one of those applications," and so I did, and I got in,
You
and
stuck the
I
landing.
thought, oh, I guess I'll try this. I'm married now. I just got married, and I figured I better get a real job. But anyway, it was I really had a great career. I just really enjoyed
Life
it.
and music.
And now I'm
blessed.
now I'm retired, and I'm just kind of picking up where I left off. Trying to play. I've been playing right now. I'm playing in two big bands. One's called the West End Jazz Orchestra, and we're doing kind of more experimental. It's a new band out of Burlington, and it's 18 piece. And we're doing like Radiohead and Pat Metheny and
Oh
stuff.
wow!
But
Orchestral
in a big
kind of
band,
arrangements.
in a big band. And we have a concert coming up December 4th. Where is it? It's the West End Jazz Orchestra. You can see them on Facebook. We're playing in Corktown.
Oh,
We're playing
nice.
in Corktown. I think it's December 4th. I think. I gotta check the dates. It's a
Darcy
Saturday.
Hepner used to do a lot of
Yeah.
stuff
So
at
actually, what
Corktown.
they've done at the Corktown is they're doing a month-long big band festival kind of thing. Every week they've got a different big band. So
Oh, that's phenomenal. When does that start?
I think it's November and December. So they're doing a month.
Is Darcy involved in that?
I think his band is playing. Our band is playing, and a band called who's playing that? Well, I know the West End, the Darcy's big band, and I forget the name of it. There's another band around here, but it's all big band music. So, and then I'm playing with another big band called the Sophisticated Swing, and they're a bunch of older guys. I guess I'm count there.
A bunch of us older guys. But those guys are older, not
Yeah,
just
but
me.
they're doing a couple of concerts in Burlington in November at the East Burlington Presbyterian Church. So they're like a more of a traditional kind of swing band.
Nice.
So and then I play in two cover bands. One's called Highway 6, and we've done a few gigs around Milton and Burlington and
You play up and down Highway 6?
yeah, actually, the reason we're called Highway 6 is because most of the members live off of Highway 6 up in Flamborough. One has a recording studio, and there's 6 of us. So we thought,
How
we'll
utilitarian
just call
of you.
ourselves Highway 6.
Yeah.
We got to go up Highway 6 every week to rehearse. And then the other band is called Mystic, and we play a lot around. It's another cover band. We kind of do more older cover stuff from the 60s and 70s, and then Highway 6 we're doing, so a lot of different situations.
Is all this information available on your website?
Oh, yeah,
Or on the socials as well?
Yeah. And then I play a duo with one of the girl singer in Highway 6, and we do a lot of, kind of small pub gigs and stuff like that.
Nice.
So I'm keeping really busy.
That's great.
So just kind of, I think, as a musician, you got to kind of make your gigs. You got to, you can't expect the phone.
Nobody's coming knocking on the
You
door.
can't expect the phone to ring.
Nope.
You got to kind of, and I figured, in more situations, like no one single band nowadays in kind of the music world is playing every single week.
No.
Like
you saturate the market.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. Like, you can't be playing the same clubs every week.
Yep.
So a lot of bands are playing like on average once or twice a month.
Yes.
They're doing shows and get people to promote it, get people. So I figure I can play every week if I play in about 3 or 4 different
Exactly.
bands.
Yeah. And if you play in different different kind of breakdowns, like a duo, like you say. And duo, 4-piece, 5-piece band, orchestra.
So and then I also, I do. Often I get called for things like weddings and just to do classical guitar. background music, or at a restaurant,
Or to tickle the ivories, or
yeah,
everybody's playing in the glasses.
Cocktail
Nice.
jazz, So.
Well, how about picking up the guitar and giving us a little sample of this, Mr. Palangio?
All right,
you're whetting our appetite for your musicianship here.
Is this on?
It's on.
I gotta kind of get used to this guitar.
We just play on Shake It Up Radio. We don't work on it. We play on it.
I'll try and play it. I'll play a jazz standard like a.
Yes, Rob Palangio, everybody. And that was a piece by.
Oh, that's an old jazz bossa nova called Black Orpheus.
Nice.
By Louis Bonfa.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
beautiful piece, beautiful.
Yeah.
Is there a particular style of music that you prefer? That is kind of your favorite, or
well, I guess
genre?
What I practice, like when I'm alone in my practice room, I try to work on my jazz improvisation, and that's kind of. I figure, if you can play jazz, you kind of have a good overall knowledge of music. You can usually learn other styles easily. But although I got to say, I mean, playing in rock bands, it's a different world, and you got to kind of adjust your way of thinking a bit differently. And also, I mean, I guess the big black hole you can get into as a jazz player. You're always wanting to improvise and play everything your own way.
Yeah, that's kind of the antithesis of sight reading, right?
Yeah,
Is you want to just be
and I
free
think
with it.
it's a lot of ways. It's the antithesis to a lot of rock and pop music because most people want to hear the song the way it's done.
They want the
record.
notes.
Yeah, like if I was to do Stairway to Heaven, you know, you want to hear that solo.
Yeah.
You know, or if you were going to do you know, Sultans of Swing, you want to hear the solo the way it's done, you know. But my normal attitude, or I guess, would be to kind of I just make up my own solo. Like
Yeah.
as much as I want to, I just want to do my own solo. And that's kind of like the complaint against jazz players is they do the song their own way. But I think that's, you know, it's just a
I think
different
the
way.
people that want you to do it note for note copy are guitar players in the audience because they want to see you do it so they can copy it.
Yeah, people are impressed when you do the solo exactly like the record, you know.
Yeah.
But you could be playing like amazing jazz stuff, and people just go, "Ooh, they don't get it."
Yeah.
where the jazz stuff is probably often way more complicated than the solo that you hear on the record. But
for sure.
But either way, you know, that's just you don't know who you might be impressing or not impressing.
Or depressing.
When you're playing music. And sometimes people will come up to me and say, "That song you played was awesome." And I said, "Really?" It was like, you know, like knocking on heaven's door. Man, that was awesome the way you played that. I said, "Well, it's only 3 chords."
3 chords in the truth, though.
But
sometimes that makes people
the
feel
right 3 chords.
through. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. No, I mean, music is strange. The way different people emotionally respond to it differently. You know, some people just are really moved by a certain song, and you don't even, as a player, you don't even realize that you're moving that person. You know, so which is kind of cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's the emotional kernel of truth in the song, whether that be 422 notes or 22 notes, you know, it cuts through to people. Gary, did you want to interject there?
Like there's some artists, we touched on this in discussion yesterday, like Frank Zappa and Lou Reed.
Yeah.
You know, they made a point of doing their solos completely different
all the time.
Right. So, and I can understand what you're saying.
And there's 2 different examples. Lou Reed was like, if it's got more, like in the Velvet Underground, you know, if it's got more than 2 chords, it's jazz. Yeah, you know. And so they were totally bare bones music, and they're like kind of the precursor to punk, you know. So I mean, but there's an art in there, but it still was artistic, you know. Like they're right in the middle of the artistic movement in New York City, you know.
Avant-garde, though.
Yeah. But in the avant-garde, but they're doing this bare bones simple music, but it had something. Probably said more than a lot of jazz players straight in the way it does, right? But then Frank Zappa was like amazing. He was an amazing musician. Just and the level of players that he required to play in his band were like the top-notch jazz players, you know, amazing players, and because his stuff is like really out there. Like he's a big. He's basically an avant-garde composer.
For sure.
He learned, you know, Stravinsky and stuff like that. He was well versed in all this really 20th century avant-garde music, which is very complicated. And then he's doing something with Lou Reed, you know. So which is kind of cool when you think of it. You know, something doesn't have to be simple, or it doesn't have to be difficult to be good.
No.
And that's why I find out. That's why
it just has to be authentic.
Yeah, that's why I like playing. Like going back and playing like old rock and roll too. You know, I mean, it's just, or blues. It's just you're trying to do something different. You know, or do something meaningful with simpler material.
Right.
So.
Well, if you got anything, you just cut right through to me. If you got anything old blues handy that you can lay on us, Rob?
I don't know if I know any blues songs specifically, but I can just play
It's Ron. You got Rob on here. I thought it was Ron. Ron. I thought it was Ron. Sorry, Ron.
People get that mixed up all the time. Actually, I have a cousin named Rob too. So
I know a guy named Rob Palangio.
yeah, that's.
You know Rob Palangio?
I might be distantly related to them. You know, here's a story. Not a boring story. Well, Palangios, there's tons of them up north, and I was like the only one I could see in Hamilton. But in the phone book, I would
A lot of Palangos here.
A lot of Palangos. So there must be some kind of relation. And I did meet a woman. I forget who she was a Palango, and she said, "Well, according to my great grandfather, we should have your name." So,
Did they change the spelling when?
Like when the immigrants came over, often they were misspelled. So we're probably related.
You got a bunch of cousins in town
They're
here.
probably related, but I don't know. So that was her story anyway.
All right, this is yours.
I-
Ron
yeah.
Palangio, everybody. Another song from Ron Palangio.
I don't know what to play. Should I just play another jazz too?
Whatever you feel.
Yeah.
How about have you ever been deep diving into any of the gypsy stuff? Django Reinhardt, you got any of that stuff handy?
Well, years ago, yeah.
I love me some Django.
Or Canadian.
What's that?
Or Canadian cover.
Classical jazz.
Oh,
Good one. Ron Williams, everybody.
messes up. So yeah, I'll just I guess I'll.
Now the audience is screaming out song titles and band names. Settle down, everybody. You'll get your turn.
After me.
I wonder if I could play. I'll play a Beatles song. Okay?
Play your audition for.
Oh yeah, I could do that. I need a cape over there.
Nice.
It's you. Waiting for this moment to be free. Blackbird singing in the dead of night. Take these sunken eyes and learn to see all your life. You're only waiting for this moment to be free. Blackbird, fly. Blackbird, fly into the light of the dark black night. Blackbird singing in the dead of night. Take these broken wings and learn to fly. All your life, you're only waiting for this moment to be free.
Yeah.
Once you do that whistling, man,
Yeah.
here to here.
Yeah, the whistling makes,
Anybody that can
makes the
whistle and
sound.
play.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
So I guess when it comes down to it, the Beatles are always my first.
That's your first row of
first
cinder blocks in your
yeah,
foundation,
yeah,
I guess,
that's
right?
right. Yeah. So I remember I was going when I first went to Mohawk. You know, it was mostly saxophone players and piano players and trumpet players and trombone players, and I was one of only 2 or 3 guitar players that got into the program, and they're going around the room the first couple of days, asking everyone what their musical background and inspiration was, and everyone's saying, Charlie Parker,
Oh, yeah.
Coltrane,
Miles Davis.
Miles Davis, and all the cool jazz kids, and they get to me and I say, oh, the Beatles, and everyone went, the Beatles, and so I was like pegged as that weird rock and roll Beatle kid trying to play jazz. So, but the cool thing about it, when you listen to jazz radio now, there's so many Beatles songs you hear are now
For sure.
have now become the standard.
Yeah.
Like they're like the old show tunes that the jazz world was using, and so many great. I always, you always know those are great songs.
Well, the melodies are
great.
are
Yeah, I mean that's where I learned my chords. Where other guitar players seem to be into the heavy metal stuff, where most of it is like power chords and stuff, and learning, and you learn Beatles songs and you learn your chords because those songs have great chord progressions, and that's just like a really good foundation. So I figured, people would say, "Hey Ron, how do you play a D9 chord?" It's like, or because they knew that I knew my chords, because they're playing their bar chords,
right.
Their power chords,
Cheater chords, I like to call them.
Well, I mean,
I do a lot of cheating.
they got their place, but I mean, I recommend it when I teach kids. I say, let's learn some Beatles songs just because they're accessible and everybody knows them, and they're great learning tools for kids to learn, how to play their chords on the guitar. So, but there's lots of other great bands out there too. But
did you get into those recent documentary releases about Let It Be?
Oh yeah.
The super long one and then the shorter version.
Well,
were you all over
the
that?
one with the music producer, the guy with the beard. That was great. I don't know if you saw that. McCartney 321. That was a really good.
With Rick Rubin.
Rick Rubin. Yeah, that was an excellent one because you got Paul McCartney's like digging right down how they conceive different songs, and it's like really cool.
Yeah. Then there was one on Amazon, I think, that showed them in that warehouse and just
that was basically that's like the Get Back.
Get Back.
Yeah,
exactly,
yeah. I saw I'm not old. I saw the Let It Be movie, the original.
Right, that was extra footage from that movie,
and that
right?
was like only 90 minutes long.
Right.
And then he was able. There was like
Peter Jackson did
Peter
it.
Jackson, he stretched it out to like 6 hours. But yeah, that was amazing just to see how they worked, and it's like when you think about it, these are like 4 guys from Liverpool. They didn't take music lessons; they learned everything off of record players, no tapes, and they learned from each other, and it's amazing how great they were. When you think about the resources we have now, like a kid can go on the internet, go on YouTube, and teach himself a song.
Right.
Any song that's out there. And these guys had to learn these songs off records that were like it was gold. Like you find a record, that it was like it was gold.
Sure, but don't you think the difference? I think the thing that, in my opinion, that made the Beatles was the fact that they went to the factory that was Hamburg and just hammered those songs out 10,000 times.
That's like,
and then they could almost forget music
Right,
and invent new music because they just did the old stuff over and over
and
and
I think
over.
that's the difference is they played together, and there was a scene where everybody was in so many bands out there, and they would just mix together. But there's always live music everywhere.
Right.
Like, I mean, there's live music everywhere. Every club had one, and it was every night.
They were doing like 2 or 3 shows a day.
Yeah, I mean,
for
like,
2
yeah, I mean,
years, weren't
like
they?
I remember in the '70s. Like, I mean, I was after high school, I was playing 3 and 4 nighters in bars, and I made more money playing in bars back then than a lot of my friends were making working at McDonald's.
For sure.
So I mean, it was like you could actually make a living playing in clubs, and that kind of all dried up through the '80s and the '90s, and it's no longer the way things are. But back then, I mean, you could be a full-time musician and get those 10,000 hours, like playing those 2 or 3 shows a night, or 2 shows a night, and you're playing every night, and there's an audience there. So I mean, you're gonna get good. It doesn't matter. It's gonna, and the difference now is if a band gets together and they rehearse for that 1 or 2 shows a month, that maybe they're only making the door. And
with a hat.
Yeah, and this is just the reality that you're not going to get as good in the same way, because you're not playing, 4 or 5 hours in front of people.
You can't emulate
playing in
front of people when you rehearse.
One performance is equal to 10 rehearsals.
I've always said that.
Yeah, it's true. I mean,
you must have said it first, but I have always said
that.
Yeah,
no, it's true. I mean, we can rehearse. Like, I mean, with one of the bands I'm in, like, we started rehearsing like over the pandemic, and then we've only had about 4 gigs. I think we got to get out there and get some gigs so we can get better.
Yeah, you got to get on the wire.
Like, we know we have a good selection of tunes. We got like over 100 tunes, and we got a good we're tight and everything, but we just need to get some gigs, but those are hard to come by.
Yes.
Those are hard, and it's, most bars, the maximum they want to pay is maybe $400, and you can't bring a 6.
Can you give me the names of those bars?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Write
Those are the
them down
luxury
and sneak them over
bars.
to me.
Those are the high end ones. Yeah.
Please,
You're a chip in the bucket.
Yeah. But
I've got a hat that
but
I
how
put
do
on
you
my
sell?
shows.
You can't sell a 4 or 5 piece band or a 6 piece band, on $400.
No.
So, but I mean, that's just the state of things, and
It is what it is. There's no sense lamenting it, because that's just
it's
the
just the way
universe
that
that we
the
live in now.
economy and just the way things have evolved. And you're competing with a lot of very different entertainment, right? Like sports bars,
iPhones.
Yeah. I mean, like, I don't know. I remember lining up to get concert tickets in the '70s. Right?
Oh yeah.
Sleeping overnight on the, but now kids do that to get the next iPhone.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're competing. I found that as well teaching. In the first few years of my teaching, when I started introducing guitar, it was like, I said, I'm going to offer a guitar class, and immediately I had 5 classes of guitars. The kids were like, wow, signing up for it. It was great,
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed that the interest in guitar dropped off by the 2015 or so.
By the time they were playing Guitar Hero.
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of kids thought, oh, I can play Guitar Hero, so I can play the guitar. I remember a kid brought a Guitar Hero game to class and said, hey, sir, try it. And I was like, brutal. I didn't know what I was doing. So you can play guitar. You should be really good at this. It's a computer game. It's not a guitar. So, but I just noticed that the interest had dropped off. My guitar classes had started to drop off because it wasn't the center. Like, I mean, music for our generation, and probably a few generations after me, it was the center of pop culture was music.
For sure.
I think now it's shifted. The center of pop culture is.
Well, it's siloed off, really.
Yeah.
There isn't no monoculture anymore.
Yeah, there's no monoculture.
Million little
So
cultures.
you got to find your niche, I suppose.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Plus,
anyway.
guitar equal girls.
Yeah. Well. Yeah, I guess I met my wife.
Well, we'll stop talking about that.
Yeah. That's the only time I got lucky.
You got another song for us, Ron? How are we doing on time, Derek? We're good.
Like 10 minutes.
Okay. 10 minutes?
Yeah.
We'll play a song, and then we'll do another little chat.
Okay.
Chat our way out.
I'll do another standard.
Ron
This is
Palangio,
called.
everybody.
This is one of my favorite songs because it's a jazz standard, but I just think it's one of the most nicely composed music standards by Jerome Kern. So.
Nice. Palangio, everybody. So we're going to keep an eye out for the Corktown
Yeah, the
Festival.
the Corktown Big Band Festival. It's all through December, I believe. And yeah, I mean, if you see, well, I guess I usually play some of the clubs that I normally play at. I played at Sean and Ed's.
Oh, the Shed.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
Shed.
great
I
spot.
played there a few times with the band called Mystic, and down in
Great
Wyoming.
pizza at the Shed.
Yeah. They actually they call it something different. They call it they don't call it pizza. They call it some
Shed bread.
shed bread.
I don't know. I just
Yeah,
made
no,
that up, but it sounds pretty good,
yeah.
Shed, if you use that.
Yeah, they should. Yeah, it's and I played down at the Innsville in Winona.
The Innsville, yes.
that's
Nice.
and we've played a few different places in Dundas at the Winchester Arms and places like that. So that's where my bands are usually playing. You know? And so just keep an ear out for Highway 6 and the Mystics. And my duo with this a girl from England. Actually, this is cool. The girl that sings in Highway 6 with me. She's originally from Liverpool.
Wow.
She's British and it's great. So she's actually played at the Cavern when she lived over there. So she's been living here for about 8 years. And so I play a duo with her. It's called Ron and Jules. And
now you can tell her you've played at the Cat and Fiddle.
Yeah. So, but I just thought, when she said, "Oh yeah, we played at the Cavern." I'm like, "Oh, really?" So it's kind of cool. So I guess when you're a Liverpool musician, it's one of the clubs.
Gotta be, yeah.
So anyway, so I'm playing with her and the West End Jazz Orchestra, which is kind of a really fun jazz band to be in. A lot of really good players. There's so many great musicians in Hamilton, Burlington, Oakville.
Oh yeah.
It's packed full of this band's
bruising talent around here.
Yeah. It's like too bad there's not more opportunities for them to play. But and actually, I'm doing 2 theater shows this fall with the Burlington Oakville Theater Group, and we're playing it. I'm doing a Stephen Sondheim show called Company, which is starting in 2 weeks. That's going to be a week run at the Oakville Performing Arts Center. So I'm playing in the pit,
That's a nice
and that's
spot.
with a bunch of string players
Nice spot.
and brass players. And then there's a
I thought you were tired. You sound
Yeah,
tired.
yeah. And then
Average.
and then in December I'm playing another show with the same group, Burlington Oakville Theater Group, and we're playing a funny thing. This funny thing happened on the way to the Forum.
Oh yeah.
I think that's the show. Anyway, yeah, it's comedy. So
Yep.
so I haven't even looked at the music yet. So, but they usually give me the music a few weeks before, and I gotta go through it and make sure it's there. But that's total reading, right, and following the conductor, and that's a skill that guitar players sometimes don't have. Is watching the conductor and following them with the orchestra players, because the looks you get if you mess up in an orchestra.
Oh yeah. Gaggers.
That guitar player, get him. So I try to play real quiet and not sure, so I'm making mistakes. So no, it's a lot of fun. It's just a different experience, So,
Well, we'll keep an eye out for everything you're doing.
yeah. So
It's been a great pleasure talking to you, Ron.
yeah, thank you.
Everybody put your hands together for Ron Palangio.
Thank you. Thank you.
Come on down to the Cat and Fiddle. Enjoy the game with friends.
Skating in over the blue line, makes a great move, splits the defenseman, in all alone, he shoots, he scores!
The Cat and Fiddle, 174 John Street South, Hamilton, Ontario. Meet you there.